Welcome to Grand Prix, your go-to channel for the fastest updates in Formula One. We've got 3 hot stories for you, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay ahead of the pack. Let's get started. What had already been a difficult weekend for Lewis Hamilton became even more complicated after the Dutch Grand Prix, as the Ferrari driver was handed a grid penalty for failing to respect double yellow flags before the race had even started. The incident occurred during the formation phase, when Hamilton passed through the final sector of the circuit near the pit lane entry while double yellow flags were being waved. According to the FIA regulations, drivers are required to reduce their speed significantly and be prepared to stop under such conditions. The stewards later confirmed that Hamilton did not slow down enough, prompting a formal investigation after the race. Following the Dutch Grand Prix, in which Hamilton had already retired after a collision that took him out of the race, the FIA reviewed all relevant data. This included telemetry from Hamilton's car, onboard footage, and additional trackside video. After thorough analysis, the stewards concluded that Hamilton had indeed failed to reduce his speed significantly. Normally, such an infringement would result in a severe sanction of 10 places on the starting grid for the following race. However, the FIA noted in its report that Hamilton did attempt to brake and slightly reduce his speed before the flagged area, which led them to soften the penalty. Instead of the standard 10-place drop, Hamilton was handed a 5-place grid penalty. Because the Dutch Grand Prix had already concluded, the sanction will apply at the Italian Grand Prix, Ferrari's home race at Monza. This immediately puts Hamilton at a disadvantage heading into one of the most important weekends of the season for his team. A strong qualifying session will be even more crucial for the British driver, as he will already be carrying the setback of starting further down the order. In addition to the grid penalty, Hamilton also received 2 penalty points on his FIA Super license. These points remain on a driver's record for 12 months, and, if they accumulate to 12, result in a 1-race suspension. While Hamilton is far from reaching that threshold, the addition of penalty points adds to what has already been a difficult campaign for the 7-time world champion. Hamilton's move to Ferrari this season was seen as one of the most dramatic driver transfers in Formula One history. However, the partnership has yet to deliver success. Since joining the Scuderia, Hamilton has struggled with car balance, reliability issues, and occasional mistakes, leading to mounting frustration both within the team and among fans. His best finish so far remains a 3rd place in the Chinese Grand Prix sprint, far below the expectations for one of the sport's most successful drivers. The penalty at Monza further complicates Ferrari's plans. Already locked in a tight battle with Mercedes for 2nd place in the Constructors' Championship, the team now faces the prospect of its star driver starting lower on the grid at its home race. For Ferrari, which is always under immense pressure from the Tifosi at Monza, the setback could prove especially costly. For Hamilton, the challenge will be psychological as much as technical. Coming off a series of disappointments, including the crash in Zandvoort and now the penalty for ignoring double yellows, he must find a way to reset and deliver a strong performance in front of Ferrari's home crowd. As Rubens Barrichello pointed out in recent comments, driving for Ferrari comes with a unique level of pressure, and Hamilton is now feeling that reality firsthand. In the final race before Formula One's summer break, George Russell raised suspicions about the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, suggesting that the Italian team may have increased tire pressures during the last stint of the race. According to Russell, if true, such a move could have been aimed at reducing floor wear, but might also have created an undue advantage for Leclerc. Russell's reasoning was based on Leclerc's unusual performance curve throughout the weekend. On Saturday, the Monegasque driver delivered a superb lap to take pole position. At the start of the race, he showed strong pace, appearing capable of fighting for a podium. However, as the laps went by, Ferrari's performance faded significantly. By the closing stages, Leclerc was struggling to keep up, eventually losing a podium place to Russell himself. Given the sharp decline in Ferrari's pace, questions were raised about whether something irregular had taken place. This week, however, the FIA published the results of several random inspections carried out after the Hungarian Grand Prix. Among the cars checked were those of Leclerc, Russell, and Fernando Alonso. The governing body clarified that these inspections are standard random checks performed on cars finishing in the top 10, but in this case, extra attention was naturally focused on Leclerc's Ferrari following Russell's public remarks. The outcome was definitive. No irregularities were found in any of the three cars. Leclerc's Ferrari was cleared, confirming the driver's own post-race statements. Leclerc had explained that his loss of pace was caused by a chassis issue that worsened as the race went on. Additionally, Ferrari had been testing a new configuration on the rear suspension, which, according to the team, made the car's performance inconsistent and unpredictable. These combined factors, rather than any rule-breaking, explain Leclerc's inability to maintain his early pace and his failure to return to the podium. The FIA's confirmation effectively put an end to speculation. Both Russell's Mercedes and Alonso's Aston Martin were also inspected and passed without issue. For the Hungarian Grand Prix, at least, there was no evidence of illegal modifications or rule violations among the cars examined. For Ferrari, however, the concerns are far from over. The team's performance swings continue to raise questions as the season unfolds. Despite flashes of speed, as seen in qualifying in Hungary, the Scuderia has struggled to convert strong grid positions into consistent race results. Reliability, car balance, and development direction remain ongoing issues. Mercedes, meanwhile, has taken encouragement from Russell's podium finish, though the team itself has also shown inconsistency across different circuits. With both Ferrari and Mercedes battling closely for second place in the Constructors' Championship, every technical decision and every upgrade could prove decisive. The gap between the two is narrow, and both are aware that small margins could tip the balance by the end of the season. As Formula One returns from the summer break at the Dutch Grand Prix, all eyes will once again be on Ferrari and Mercedes. For Ferrari, the challenge will be to regain stability and prove that Hungary's struggles were an isolated event. For Mercedes, the focus is on capitalizing on its opportunities to consistently finish ahead of its Italian rival. The FIA's inspection may have closed one chapter, but the broader battle for second place in the championship remains wide open. Whether Ferrari can overcome its technical gremlins or Mercedes can find the consistency it has been searching for will shape the outcome of the rest of the season. Who will drive for Red Bull next season? That remains one of the biggest questions heading into the final stretch of the year. While Max Verstappen's place in the team is unquestioned, the same cannot be said for his current teammate Yuki Tsunoda. After being promoted to the senior team at the Japanese Grand Prix earlier this year, Tsunoda has been given a strict deadline to prove he deserves to stay alongside the reigning world champion. According to reports, Red Bull's leadership has set the Mexican Grand Prix as the cutoff point for Tsunoda to deliver consistent results. By then, the team expects to have a clearer picture of his long-term potential. The message is straightforward. Tsunoda must significantly close the gap to Verstappen and demonstrate consistency if he wants to secure his place for next season. So far, Tsunoda's numbers have not been convincing. Since joining Red Bull, he has scored just 7 points and currently sits 18th in the Drivers' Championship. His performances have been underwhelming, drawing skepticism from within the team and recalling the struggles of other drivers who have failed to adapt quickly after being given a chance in the second Red Bull seat. Team principal Laurent Mekies has publicly defended Tsunoda, arguing that the Japanese driver has shown signs of progress and should be given more time to adapt. Mekies believes the step up from the junior team to Red Bull is one of the toughest transitions in Formula One and that patience is essential for a fair evaluation. But within the organization, not everyone shares that view. Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko has taken a harder stance, emphasizing that the team cannot afford extended patience if the results are not forthcoming. Marko was also quick to dismiss rumors linking the team with drivers outside of the Red Bull Academy, such as four-time IndyCar champion Alex Palou, reaffirming that the team remains committed to promoting from within its own pool of talent. This stance places additional pressure on Tsunoda, who has around 6 races to change the narrative. If he cannot meet the expectations set by Red Bull's management, the team is prepared to promote another young driver from its academy. Among the names mentioned is American prospect Zach O'Sullivan, who has been making waves in the junior categories and is viewed by some as a potential candidate for the seat. For Red Bull, the second driver's role remains one of the most difficult positions on the grid. Since Daniel Ricciardo's departure, no teammate has managed to consistently challenge Verstappen or deliver points at the same level, creating a revolving door of drivers struggling to adapt to the high-pressure environment. Tsunoda now finds himself in the same situation, tasked with proving he can succeed where others have failed. The decision will likely shape not only Red Bull's future, but also the trajectory of Tsunoda's career. If he secures the seat, it could cement his place in Formula One for the long term. If not, he risks becoming the latest in a line of drivers moved aside after failing to meet the team's demanding standards. With 6 races to go before the deadline, the spotlight will be firmly on Tsunoda. Every qualifying session, every strategy call, and every race finish will be scrutinized as Red Bull evaluates whether he can grow into the role. For the Japanese driver, the challenge is as much mental as it is technical, showing that he can handle the pressure of one of Formula One's most demanding teams.